What's going on, folks? Happy Tuesday. It's another episode of UGC Workshop Live. I'm your host, Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. And boy, am I ready to dive into today's topic, which is a big one that everyone here on the call needs to be aligning their content strategies to, and that's generative engine optimization. We're going to be getting into the how-tos. We're going to be showing off and really launching here for y'all the newest tool in our platform, AI Visibility, which is your new radar to guide your GEO strategies, all of that and more. Getting started here in a minute. Before we jump in, make sure that you are heading to our workshops page on our website for previous episodes of UGC Workshop Live, as well as some other useful educational tips. Make sure you're just going to MarketScale.com in general, especially if you're not already using Studio, so you can learn a little bit more about how MarketScale can support y'all in launching your UGC strategies and getting you up to date on the meta of GEO and everything in between. So, folks, let's jump right in because I don't want to waste any time here. We've got a lot to cover. While we are in startup mode here, let's throw in chat. Where's everyone joining us from? John Baer is already bringing the hype. He did this last time, and this was fun to see. So, where's everyone joining us from? Give us your city and state. And maybe a little context as to why you're joining us here today. What is it about GEO how-tos that got your wheels spinning? Okay, so today's workshop is how to build a generative engine optimization content strategy, a GEO content strategy, and a little bit of why GEO matters. Okay, so you're going to leave today with a GEO roadmap to better understand how to even approach launching content that supports GEO, much in the same way you were launching content that supported your SEO strategies back in the day. You're going to walk away with a content vision that's going to play well to LLMs. That's going to help you get mentioned and cited. And ideally, you're going to walk away from our workshop today with a weekly workflow, too, that puts AI Visibility, our new tool in MarketScale Studio, to work to help guide what you publish so that your content is more intentional and really hitting on the current meta of content accessibility. Okay? And then importantly here, you're going to better understand how to put your people, your communities to work, whether that's your SMEs or your customers or your partners, right? Putting them to work to help create content that's going to elevate your brand. Okay, so introducing here as our panelists, I curated two different perspectives that are going to help round out our GEO how-to today. So first up, we're joined by Hunter Lopayton. Hunter is our Director of Community here at MarketScale. He's deep in the sales enablement weeds. He's going to be able to give some perspective himself on why GEO is so critical for those out there looking to make content that drives sales. And, well, he's been here since day one with our new tool, so he's going to be able to help reframe some of these tools in more intentional ways. So let's go ahead and give him a quick intro. What's going on, Mr. Hunter? Welcome.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I mean, this is a huge topic. And, you know, when it comes to what we're going to talk about today, it's the biggest launch of 2025. And I really didn't say that wrong. You might have misheard me. I said 2025 because it's 2026 right now. And a lot of teams and marketing teams have fallen behind when it comes to GEO. So today's going to be a really exciting conversation, and excited to talk it through with you, Daniel.
Big time. Well, thanks for joining us, Hunter. We're going to kick you off stage here. Bye. All right, next up is Leah. Leah Johnson is our other panelist. She is an associate director here at MarketScale on the client services team. She's been a UGC coach with us. More importantly, she's been a marketing manager at some big companies in the past and knows from experience what it's like to launch an SEO strategy. Well, guess what? A lot of the same mentality, a lot of the same tactics are going to be retranslated to this GEO era. She's going to be able to speak from, boots on the ground experience, and I'm excited to have her here as well to give us more strategy. Leah, welcome to the panel. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited about this. So excited about this new tool. I think it's going to take our marketing friends from, oh my gosh, what is this thing happening to me? What is this GEO to, we got this. We got you.
Boom. It's time to level up, folks. That's what today's all about. All right, thanks, Leah. We'll be bringing you back here in a minute. So, like Hunter was saying, okay, guys, this is really the biggest news of 2025. No, we did not misspeak. I understand it is January of 2026, but that's really where we need to be thinking about generative engine optimization strategies, is that it's already the now. GEO was new and novel and strange to us last year, but by now, we need the tools, we need the guidance, we need the intentionality to make GEO strategies top of mind, right? Your content needs to be feeding how your brand is perceived by LLMs, by ChatGPT, by Gemini, by Claude, etc. So let's roll up those sleeves, folks. If you're feeling a little FOMO, don't worry, we've got your back. Today is your crash course to get started on GEO and to put our tool to best use to help you with that. So let's think about this more practically, right? What is generative engine optimization in practice? We're going to cut through the theory here. We're going to define this in practical terms. So generative engine optimization is really just structuring your content and your distribution so that AI models accurately mention and cite your content. Those are the big hitters here. Is your content mentioned by LLMs? Is your content cited by LLMs? We'll get into those a little bit more here in a minute. But again, structure your content so that AI models, A, understand what you're credible for, B, recommend you for the right prompts, right? You want to be the right answer to the right questions, and C, you want to structure your content so that AI models, again, cite you as evidence. Are you the authority on that question in your industry? Not just do you provide the best solution, but are you thought leaders? And that's where UGC is starting to filter back in here, right? As the means to the end here for a successful GEO strategy. So the scoreboard that you need to be repeating often is, when I go and ask GPT something about my industry, expecting to pop up, and I'm invisible, you're not mentioned. What happens, right? Well, you got to go from invisible to being mentioned at all. And then you got to evolve mentioned to also be mentioned and cited. Not only am I brought up on the most obvious questions around my industry, but I'm also brought up around the deep in the weeds questions where my authority is being put front and center, right? So SEO was rank my page, and now GEO is make the answer impossible without us, right? That should be your mentality here. So I'm going to bring our panelists on for a quick question before we dive into some more practical guidance here on our tool. But so, I'm going to go through all honesty for this. Idea of invisible to mention, to cited, right? Like, what would you say this means in terms of awareness, consideration, trust, right? Like, how should our marketers start to make sense of deploying content that actually serves GEO?
Yeah, so that journey, that marketing journey is still very important. So consideration phase is where you're answering the questions that people have. But if you're not even showing up, that's that awareness phase. So we've got to create some content that makes it possible for you to become found for those answers, right? So the AI is looking for the answers to questions that your customers, your prospects are asking. You've got to have those answers out there. So you've got to create the content so that AI can find you. And so that sort of aligns with that awareness phase. Then the consideration phase is when you're mentioned by the AI, which is great because you do want to be mentioned. But then where the trust shows up is when you're cited, right? So that's showing that you have authority in this topic, in this subject, and then that's going to enable people to click through to your site.
Love it. Now, Hunter, let's talk shop on the sales side of things here, right? You're coming to us from in the weeds of sales enablement. You work close with our BDRs. So anyone on here that's coming at this from the how am I going to drive revenue with content? How should GEO support putting money in the bank for the brand, right? Get some commish. Hunter is your guy here. So Hunter, if you're leading on revenue out there, like how should you be thinking about, is an LLM mentioning me? Is it citing me, right? What's the headspace that you think sales pros creating content and participating in content should approach this whole mission with?
I mean, it's the biggest thing, Daniel. We talk about it all the time as sales leaders is, there is a problem that we are solving. And the people and the folks who have that problem, what questions are they asking when they're going to GPT? What questions are they asking when they go to Gemini and all these different LLMs? I mean, I can't tell you the last time myself when I had a problem here at work, I didn't go to an LLM to try and find that answer. That's the biggest thing we have to realize is people are now using these different platforms to find out the solution. And like Leah said, is your name popping up? Are you being mentioned anytime someone's asking a question? And is it leading them to your website? Are you controlling the narrative to where if you're mentioned and it leads you to your website, now they're right there. They can see all of your education, all of your content, and they're able to book a demo right on your website. So making sure that, first we're being mentioned in the questions that people are asking when they have the problems that we solve, but also, are they being led to our website? Are they being led to where we control the narrative?
Exactly. Love it, folks. All right. Thanks, panelists. You'll be back here in a minute. Now, how are normal people in your industry using LLM technology right now, right? This is your starting point for strategy. You need to understand how is your audience actually putting a tool like ChatGPT to work to help them make informed decisions. And the reality is that most people today, including most of your buyers, are likely using LLMs just like they were using Google. They are posing questions and seeking authoritative answers. They could search through a gajillion blue links for their suggestions, but oftentimes they're opening up a link that takes them to some blog that a company posted that gives them the 10 best tips on, what HVAC supplier to contract for a job. Okay. So now we are skipping that. We're letting LLMs do that work. So you need to approach it from that same headspace. How do I make sure my content pops up, my brand pops up when my buyer goes to ChatGPT and poses a simple, straightforward question? Okay. So they're asking questions. They're looking for a synthesized answer with link options to be cited. What are the citations forming this answer? And then they're going to click on the sources that they trust. People that use LLMs well are posing follow-up questions or digging for more insights. Okay, so your first GEO strategy starts right here. When someone asks the most important questions in your industry, are you recommended, right? Are you mentioned at all? Number one. Number two, are you cited? Okay, are insights that you or members of your community, are those insights that they've offered showing up as citations to those answers? And then finally, are you positioned as the authority? Do you show up in just about every single question about that industry, about that solution, about that specific technology? Now, our platform, MarketScale Studio, has a new feature, AI Visibility, that helps you understand all of this. It's very difficult to even answer that question. Am I being recommended by GPTs? Well, what, are you going to go ask every GPT a gajillion questions to see? I guess you could do that, but guess what? Our platform does all that for you. So we're going to dig into that here in a minute. And I'm going to show you guys how ChatGPT looks when it is recommending a customer well. Okay. So let's go ahead and pop over to that. I'm going to show you guys this quick live demo here, and then I'll bring our panelists on for color commentary. So here's an example, right, of ChatGPT being posed a question. I'm going to zoom in a bit for our folks here. So which companies are the leaders in school safety technology? Pretty straightforward question that a superintendent may ask. Okay. So I had it on thinking mode. It thought for a little bit. All right, here we go. It searched the internet for authoritative content. It searched the internet for recommendations, for thought leadership, for authority, and it came together with this list. Raptor Technologies, Navigate 360, Centigix. Okay, it gets general high-end here, end-to-end platforms, but also more specific on panic buttons, weapons detection, AI gun detection, cameras. Okay, this is useful if I'm an IT leader or a superintendent, right, at a school district. I'm probably going to be taking, some cues from this. Now, let me highlight here, folks. Raptor Technologies, that's a MarketScale customer. And guess what? They just ranked number 1 on this question. Pretty cool, right? Now, what is Raptor Technologies doing well to position themselves in this way? Well, if we just take a quick peek at their YouTube, you'll notice a variety of content that is feeding their authority on the internet. They've got how-tos, they've got case studies, they've got interviews with their internal folks, with their customers, with superintendents, with teachers. They've got product breakdowns. They are covering it all from every angle. And most importantly, you'll see a lot of faces on here. They're not just relying on some 2D animation and an infographic to drive authority for their content. They are using videos. And often this is then feeding things like blogs, follow-up case studies in written format, right? They're using the real insights of their community to build authority, to show up. And now, well, the proof is in the pudding. They're the first company that's mentioned as probably the most trusted end-to-end school safety platform. Pretty cool, right? So I'm going to bring up Hunter and Leah here a little bit. Now, from a strategic angle, what do you see working well here, right? Or just in general, like how should our audience here thinking about launching a GEO strategy? How should they think about what's working well for someone like Raptor Technologies and how they can apply the same methodology themselves?
Well, I'll jump in real quick on this, Daniel. I think one of the important things that we're seeing here is you can't just throw this on your website and expect to be done with it. Now, it's great to have that content on your website, absolutely, but you need to be in many different channels. You need to know your customer. You need to know what channels they're in. But YouTube has been the number 2 search engine behind Google for years, and I imagine it's gonna stay up there. So we need to make sure we're on YouTube. And we need to understand that AI is now consuming video to get its answers. So this is not a thing of the past where you had to have everything written out that was in the video. AI is actually consuming native video now. So it's very important to understand that. So you've got to be in video. You've got to then take those videos into your other channels, your social channels, because what's true now is that a lot of people are searching in social. They're not necessarily coming back to Google and things like that to do those searches. So in addition to feeding the LLMs and your GEO strategy, you've got to be everywhere because that's where the AIs are looking, everywhere. So you've got to be in all those different channels.
Yeah, no, that's great. And one thing I want to add on the sales side of things is this directly shows sales leaders that we need to be doing this too. We need to focus on the content that we're putting out there. If we want more inbound leads, we want more people to know who we are, what we do, and be able to reach out and set up demos and talk with us. We got to focus on the content that we're putting out there. Is our sales team out on the show floor pulling out their phones and recording, talking about what's happening there and the different expertise they're showing off? Are they getting their channel partners and are they getting their clients to create testimonials? And you saw on Raptor's page there on YouTube, one of the main things that got sourced and cited is the how-to videos. Is our team creating how-to videos not only for us, but as a sales team, are we giving how-to videos to our channel partners where they can source that, right?
Exactly. It's a no-brainer. And the methodology is really not that mysterious here, right? It's not like we need to reinvent the content wheel. It's just that now where you are placing content isn't as straightforward as where you may have been placing content in the SEO era. We are in a new era that demands that you are on YouTube, that you are on Reddit, that you are on LinkedIn, that your web page is being fleshed out with authoritative content, but also that you are building out multiple channels, that let's say Raptor Technologies is being sourced or cited because that one teacher launched a podcast and talks about Raptor all the time, or because they empowered, let's say, their salesperson to be top of mind by creating a content lane, right? Are you being cited in industry studies? Are you being cited on a authoritative page like an industry organization page, an industry association, right? Yes, take that interview. Yes, participate in that study, right? Yes, get your CEO booked on that industry podcast, because all of that feeds an owned and earned media ecosystem that gets you front of mind in these platforms, right? So now what I want to do is point us over to MarketScale Studio here briefly. And here, Stephanie had a quick question. Will this be shared on demand? Yes, absolutely. Don't you worry. If you got to step away, or you know someone that is not watching this but needs to see this, you can go to marketscale.com, go to our resources tab, head to our workshops, and you'll see all of our previous workshops there. So you should see last week's episode with David Kemp talking about building your UGC channel. You see that there, and you'll see this on demand here within 24 hours of completing the webinar. All right, folks. So now let's show off our brand new tool in MarketScale Studio, AI Visibility. This is one of the most powerful tools that you now have in your tool belt if you are a MarketScale Studio user. And this is for any of our scale, business, or enterprise campaigns. So if you are a basic subscriber, this might be motivation to go check out that contract and maybe bump things up so you get access to this awesome radar, okay? But if you need to know where to start with your generative engine optimization strategies, again, you need to start by understanding, how are LLMs even making sense of your brand? Are you being mentioned? Are you being cited? Are you an authority in your space? So guess what? Our platform helps you do that. So let's go ahead and pop this up on screen. And Hunter and Leah, I'm just going to leave you guys up now. As you have anything you want to mention while we show off the platform, feel free. But this here is, AMD is not a customer of ours. We built this as a demo, as to not show anyone's back end here. But if you go to your home feed and you are a scale, business, or enterprise user of MarketScale Studio, you'll see a new button on the home feed that says AI Visibility, parentheses, GEO. Click in there. And this is the dashboard you're going to see. Okay, so what stands out immediately? We have a new dashboard for you guys that logs, right, by pinging LLMs constantly with prompts, by sifting through responses on LLMs to identify mentions and citations. You now have visibility into, how am I being mentioned against my competitors? What kind of visibility does my brand have on LLMs? What is my share of voice in these mentions, right? Am I leading here or not? So this is a great place to start. If I was AMD and I was sitting down to refresh my content strategy for a better generative engine optimization approach, well, I would notice I'm number 3 on this list. NVIDIA and IBM, not by a ton, but by enough, are beating me out when people ask questions about chips or about cloud computing, etc. Right?
Daniel, I'll hop in here. I mean, we've always talked about content as you being the thought leader, the advisor in the space. When someone goes onto LinkedIn or goes and researches an issue that they're having, are you the first one popping up? Now in the age of AI, and hey, I mean, LLMs have been big since 2022. We got to figure out, what's going on here, right? You first mentioned this is a radar. We were flying blind. We were saying, hey, I'm just going to put content out there and, hopefully it gets mentioned. Now with the AI visibility dashboard, as a marketer, as a sales leader, this is huge. I mean, the first thing you see right on here is, in the last 7 days, how many times was my brand mentioned? And who is it comparing it to? In this case, I'm seeing Intel and I'm seeing NVIDIA being mentioned way more than I am if I were AMD. And I'm saying, all right, how do we make sure that we're getting mentioned? How do we make sure that we're coming up first and we're the advisors in the space? And we'll go through that in a little bit here, which I'm excited to show, but I wanted to add that little piece in there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I'll jump in from the marketing perspective. As someone who used to run a very lean marketing team, this aggregates a lot of data that took a lot of time to pull together previously, and could have been really expensive in various tools to pull that together. And to have all this in one dashboard, and I can tell you from jumping in on this, it took no setup time. Like, normally when I would get a tool, it would take me weeks to learn it and set it up. this thing out of the box was running.
And that's the exciting part. This is curated for you guys by our team. However, there are some things that we do recommend if you start putting this tool to work that you start polishing up yourselves too. So there is some tweaking here. It's not just a single source of truth, but you can fine tune how this dashboard and how these sets of tools read your company, read your competitors, read your prompts, or the prompts that you hope folks are asking that you want to be mentioned in, right? You can customize all of this yourself in collaboration with our team. So for example, tracked competitors, right? You guys are going to want to come in here and you're going to want to fine tune this. You're going to see anywhere from 5 to 10 competitors here already if you have this platform. Maybe you see some names on there you want to toss. Maybe you see a key competitor that's not mentioned. Add them, right? Because this is critical. You want to know how you are stacking up against others that are bringing the same services in your industry. And you want to race it out. You want to beat them and be at the top of the list. Okay, same with prompts. Now, this is a big one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the foundation of the whole strategy. So the way the tool really works here is that it is consistently, at least once a week, scrubbing through LLMs. That's a lot of scrubbing. It's asking these questions, posing them to Gemini, GPT, Claude, whatever, and it's seeing, do you come up? Are you mentioned? Are you cited? Right? So you're going to find that there are already some prompts staffed out here for you in the platform, but you're going to want to pop in here and you're going to want to add your own prompts for sure. What are the questions that you want to be an authority on? What are the one layer removed questions that your buyers may have around trends in the market, around new technologies, around best practices and tips that you want to kind of sneak your way into? You want to be cited as an authority on that subject to guide people back to your service or your brand. This is where you start, right? Because this is going to help set the foundation of your strategy. What are the questions that your customers have? And I know Leah can speak to this. This has always been the marketing playbook. What questions do your customers have? Let's create some content that answers those questions. Same with sales. You want those questions answered to make for a smarter buyer, right?
This was always a hard thing to find too, unless you sat down and had focus groups or you really had a commercial team that was very engaged in supplying you with those questions. This was tough for marketers to dig through and find these things that are relevant to your marketing goals and your business's strategies. So this to me, from a marketing perspective, is just absolute gold. Think of it like you're back in the SEO days, back in the old days of SEO, is those long tail keywords. This is where this really becomes very relevant.
Yeah, and on the sales side, it's huge, right? The main thing that we look for in sales, the main way that we get inbound leads and that we get people wanting to talk to us is based on the questions that they're asking, right? When we get on a sales call, all the sales leaders out there, the first couple minutes is just asking questions to figure out, what is the pain that they're feeling. Now we're able to see the pain before we even hop on that call because we're able to see, what people are asking. We're able to look in and see how are we answering these questions through AI.
Exactly. And for example, don't know where to start. Maybe you're new. I mean, look, I've been doing, for those that have been following along, I'm on the education side of the business. I'm doing a lot of kickoffs and admin calls with folks that are probably on this call. I know that I've done some intro calls with folks that are new marketers at their company and have been there for maybe a few weeks, a few months, and you're still learning the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. You don't need to become a pro in your industry before you start to put this to use. Because, for example, if you don't quite know what kind of questions customers may have that you need to be mentioned and cited on, the platform also helps you out here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either add questions manually, go ask that sales guy that's been here for 30 years, what questions he gets all the time, throw them in here. But also we have some other existing tools in here, such as leveraging people also ask from Google, as well as just a general sort of AI support tool here that will help generate prompts based on major keywords in your industry that may be of some use for your content strategy. Right. And again, everything you're doing here is going to inevitably guide better content, better UGC, which we'll get to here in a minute. So you can start to, after you develop your prompts, you can start to see all AI responses collected from the prompts that you put in with mentions, citations, and sentiment data. But this is not only going to let you know, hey, this model is answering X, Y, and Z, right? Here's the prompt. Here is the model. Here's how they answer. And then where am I positioned here? So this is interesting. On what's the best way to build a quiet, high FPS gaming PC? If you ask Gemini, AMD is the #1 position in this answer. Boom. And it's positive. It's saying this is the place to go. Now, sometimes you may pose a question and you're not just looking for, am I being cited? Am I being mentioned? But are those mentions positive? You definitely don't want, oh, I'm #1, but it says #1, don't use this company, right? That's a problem. So that might mean, okay, I got to go find positive testimonials, customer reviews. I have to evangelize those. I have to build a more active customer base that is speaking on my behalf that can help convince the larger internet, right? Or really LLMs that you are a trusted source. Important
Yeah,
distinction there.
tracking sentiment was one of the not so fun parts of marketing, but very necessary. You've got to know what's going on, especially if something negative is being said about your company.
100%. And for Mark, your question there, does this replace Answer the Public and similar tools? It definitely can. I mean, look, as you're feeling out the tool, I don't necessarily recommend that you just nuke every other tool in your portfolio, but I think you should jump in here and you should start to compare and contrast. Is this giving you more useful guidance than a tool like Answer the Public? And more importantly, this is baked into your content production and collaboration environment. So not only do you get these insights baked in, but you also get the whole ecosystem to then create the content that's going to help improve your GEO, right? But yes, Answer the Public could be an example of one of the tools that you end up replacing. Okay, I'm going to pop over here to another cool spot. So let's talk actual UGC content strategies here for a second. I'm going to show you guys the recommendations section in a minute, which is one of my favorite aspects of the tool. But briefly, let's actually talk shop on the how-to on the content, right? Because that's what it's all about. So you need to beef out your GEO strategy. That means you need more content to do that for you, right? So how do you launch that content strategy? Well, step 0 here is you need to understand at a high level, am I being mentioned? Am I being cited? Where am I being mentioned? Where am I being cited? Duh. That's what this dashboard is here to help you do. The overview tab, the prompts tab, and the responses tab, and the citations tab there as well. All at the top will give you the entry-level information that you need to understand your playing field. I forgot to show this. Let me just show this briefly. Citations.
I was about to say, Daniel, are you holding back one of my favorite pieces
Yes.
from a marketing perspective?
This is critical.
Recommendations?
The recommendations is coming up next. Don't you worry.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure we got that.
So that they're salivating for the recommendations portion.
That's right.
Hopefully it's working. But here, this is important too, folks. Where, you can't really know what kind of content strategy to launch if you don't know where that content should be going. So this is telling you what sources are being pulled when you are cited, right? So AMD is getting cited a lot from YouTube and Reddit. Very interesting. So as AMD launches its content strategies, it's going to want to make sure that its content is feeding its way to Reddit and that they're publishing videos, authoritative videos on YouTube. But look how high Google is, LinkedIn, Medium. This is an interesting one. People want authoritative sources. So they don't just want to see the content coming directly from you. They like when it's a layer removed, when it's coming from that, 20-year tenured engineer's Substack within your company, or when it's coming from earned media that you have earned, that interview that you get on a new data center you're building and a journalist wants your comment. Instead of saying this time, I don't have the time for that, or whatever, I'll post about it on our blog instead. No, take that interview because you want to make sure let's say Medium, cites your brand when someone asks a question that then positions your answers in that interview as the citation, right? So this is critical.
Yeah, Daniel, this and mentions are the two biggest things that you should be putting on your radar right away is my website coming up and what websites are being cited? If I went into ChatGPT right now and asked this question, what is it going to cite? Is it going to cite YouTube? Is it going to cite my website? Is it going to cite Medium in this case or another forum? And making sure that you are posting, sharing, putting your education out there. But not only that is creating authority within the space. And you do that from real canonical user generated content. So original content from the experts within your brand. If you have an engineer, have him creating content about engineering and what he's doing. He is an expert in there. AI actually rejects fluff. It rejects unoriginal content. Because half the time it's thinking it's coming from AI. So what we got to realize here is make sure that we're creating an authority in the space for each one of our people on our team, right? If we're a product developer, we talk about our products, right?
And to that point, folks out there who are in the marketing world, have you been sick and tired of the meta of marketing being the loudest in the room is the one that gets clicks? It's all about the show you put on, how boisterous and bubbly and explosive and algorithmically engaging your content is. Well, guess what? We just dropped a fat reset on content strategy with GEO because now it's revenge of the nerds, okay? The technical content wins again. How are you going to get cited? Not with bubbly culture content, but you're going to be cited in LLMs because you got that interview with your internal engineer to explain a highly complex topic and position you as an authority, right? Now your internal subject matter experts are your most valuable resource, okay? Gold is skyrocketing, on the stock market as of late. Well, guess what? Your SMEs are like gold, okay? Maybe undervalued for a
the
bit.
Days of trying to manipulate the algorithm with keyword stuffing and all of those just sleazy tactics. Now you've got to be authentic. You've got to come with real answers for people in an authentic way.
Totally agree. We got a good question here from Jason. Does the LLMs.txt file on your site control or impact how tools like this and LLMs in general consume and rank you as an authority? So, yes, because if you see here, for example, your site is absolutely an authority and does influence how you are ranked, how you are mentioned or cited by LLMs, right? So, for example, here's AMD's site on this lineup of citation sources. Of their various citation sources, they are number 7, behind NVIDIA, one of their competitors, who apparently gets cited more as a source in answers that benefit AMD, which is interesting, right? Maybe just general thought leadership that repositions AMD as a leader in the space. But it's clear that their website has some work to do here to get a little higher in the ranking of cited domains. You can see here AMD is well cited by Google AI mode and by more generic AI overviews, but not so much by specific tools. It's getting cited by Perplexity some, but not really by GPT or by Gemini. So they have some work to do there to fine-tune how those tools are reading them. So again, UGC here, right? This is critical. And as we jump into the content recommendations in the platform, it's important to understand that all this reset is doing is repositioning user-generated content as one of the best strategies for your current marketing meta. If you are not decentralizing your thought leadership, if you're not decentralizing your content creation, if you're not tapping your sales guy, your engineer, your CEO, your customer, your channel partner to build a hub of thought leadership and authoritative content, right? You are being left behind in the current meta. You should feel a little FOMO if you're a little behind here. Don't worry, you've got us. We've got your back here with tools and with coaching, etc. But UGC is critical here, right? So when we talk about UGC strategies that are most important, we're talking about content that is going to elevate your number of mentions and is going to elevate your number of citations. This is owned media. Okay, so stuff on your site, on your hub pages, an editorial cadence on your blogs, your YouTube channel being nice and fleshed out. It's also distributed media, so stuff that's hitting external social ecosystems. You want LinkedIn content, you want stuff on partner channels, you want stuff in community forums, Reddit, for example, or anything more specific to your industry. But then you also want that earned media, and earned media is going to come from good owned media. That engineer of yours who's an authority on, designing chips will get cited by a journalist if you let them lead from the front and be a how-to expert in your content. So you decentralize, you let the expert lead from the front. They are now feeding an ecosystem of authoritative insights coming from your brand. And now when there's big news in that industry, that person is positioned as someone who can speak on that subject matter expertise. Boom, now they're cited. Boom, that's another node that could be picked up by the LLM and position you as a leader, right? So if you're not sure where to start with your content strategies, our tool also helps you maneuver this ecosystem. Now, it's important, again, you got to set it up with the right search functions. You got to make sure that your competitors are fleshed out properly. You want to make sure that your prompts are intentional. But once you've got the prompts, you've got the competitors laid out, you have a better understanding of what you want LLMs to, like where you want to be cited within the LLM ecosystem. Now you can leverage the content recommendations tool in the platform, which is right here on the left-hand side, content recommendations, which will give you some guidance on places to start. Think of this like a little gamified leaderboard, or like a quest board if you're playing Skyrim or something out there for our OG gamers on the call. Here's your quest board, all right? It's RuneScape 2006 all over again, except it's your generative engine optimization strategy. So this is going to, by combining the success of your prompts in mentioning and citing you, understanding your responses, understanding your citations, understanding your competitors, it's going to let you know what kind of content do you need to be prioritizing to improve your GEO. So go ahead, man.
I'll add on is not only is this dashboard your radar showing you your mentions, showing you your citations, but it's also your GPS. It's telling you where to go. So it's your radar and GPS. You're going to be able to see what's happening right now, but also you're going to see, what do I need to do to improve our GEO? What do we need to put into our strategy today to make sure that we're showing up more?
Exactly.
Oh, man, 100%. As a marketing leader, I would have killed for this. I can just imagine, though, today's marketing leaders, their workflow being Monday, I'm going to come in, I'm going to check this, I'm going to see what content I need to create, I'm going to send a request to my subject matter experts, and I'm going to get that content going this week. I'm going to get something by the end of the week. I'm going to have it done.
That's exactly where I would start. Is I'd come in Monday morning, I'd look to see everything on the radar, and then I'd come in here, I'd look at high priority, and my first thing that I'm doing is I'm going into this and I'm saying, all right, who are the experts who can create this content? Who are the experts who can talk on this? And then the first thing I do, you already have access to the platform. You hop over, you click request, and in 2 minutes, you send out a request to each one of those experts. And you lean on the team here at MarketScale, right? Your UGC coach, as well as the directors working with you every day, are there to coach, teach, train, activate your people to create. So you lean on them to get it done. And instead of, having to really dive in yourself and go out and actually create that content, now you have a full system working for you as soon as you start Monday.
Boom. Exactly. So these are pretty straightforward. Like, for example, one of the medium priorities is a technical one. The tool here is recommending that, well, AMD needs better Q&A. Okay, because right now, a lot of their pages are just not actually being read that well by LLMs. We need to increase the chance that this exact wording is then reused in AI responses. So we need clearer, simpler pages. Sometimes less is more. For our website designers out there, this is good news. You don't need a gajillion subpages. In fact, less subpages are probably better because you want less, but more concrete sources of proof to guide LLMs, especially on your site. So you don't need 10,000 subtopics or sub pages to go over every single layer of your services, right? Sometimes you want to allow the larger ecosystem of UGC to help answer that for you. So again, folks, this is your new roadmap that you can put to work to help improve your GEO. So now when we're talking about specific types of content, this is where we're going to start to wrap things up. I want to leave you guys with practical pieces of media you can put to work. And understand too that if you have MarketScale Studio, fantastic. You can start to put this tool to work to capture that media as well. So what kind of content is most effective for a solid GEO strategy? Okay. Well, you've got newsjacking or trend commentary content, right? You want content that's going to speak to what has changed in your industry, what it means, and what to do next. That's very timely, very relevant, and you want to be positioned right in the discussions that are already happening in your industry. You can expect people will be asking questions of GPT with those topics, right, Leah?
Thought leadership is where it's at. That is what the AI is looking for, is the thought leadership.
Exactly. This looks like POVs, contrarian hot takes. It could look like commentary on major market movers in the industry, a merger, some new legislation, right? Stuff that's going to position you and your blog or your channel as a citation for those answers. You also need product FAQs and impact explainers. Mm-hmm. This is a no-brainer. You want to have the foundation of how does this service work? How does this tool work? How does XYZ work for XYZ use case? You better have a lot of materials covering that stuff on your sites and on your channels, because those are the most practical how-to answers to practical how do I do this questions that your buyers may be having. Again, map pain to an outcome to a how it works. We don't always just need spec dumps, okay? Your product page should not just be a collection of specs. It should contextualize. It should place your products and services in the context of questions that your customers may have. That's going to make you more cited and more mentioned in LLM answers. This is a no-brainer. You obviously want testimonial style content. Duh. You want to let your people lead from the front, your customers, in storytelling, because that is what's going to build trust around your brand. So we're talking customer proof. We're talking case study mini docs, simple reviews, customer evangelism. That's more narrative driven, podcast style, right? Map a problem they were feeling to constraints they had, to decisions they took, and to results they got. And you're part of that decision and results process, right? There's so many options here. Even simple how-tos are a great place to start. And then when you go to actually capture this media, how do you do it? It's not just you, the marketer. It's not just you, the one sales guy that's doing content. It's your whole ecosystem. And that's where our platform also comes into focus, our guidance and coaching, okay? Because you need to activate your sales leader, your C-suite, or your HR lead, but also all the SMEs, the product guy, the warehouse guy, the training and upskilling guy, okay? You want them to all be voices in your content that elevate your authority, make you more cited, make you more mentioned, and make you a leader within your LLM ecosystem. And once again, folks, right, our platform helps you with all this. Get your people invited, right? Now's the time to train up. Get me booked on a next kickoff, okay? It's time to Train that engineering team you haven't gotten in the platform yet to be recording some of their own thought leadership, to be responding to media requests in the platform that you curate, to get those succinct little answers you need for a product education library. It's time for folks to upload more content from their trade shows. It's Q1 2026. It's trade show season, baby. I know a bunch of our best industries out there are all gearing up for their most exciting trade shows or just wrapped up their most exciting trade show of the year. Guess what? Get your content from your phone, upload it in here. Let's start to craft some great thought leadership, product demo content, interviews with customers, and turn that into a source, into a node that's going to feed your GEO. Boom. Exciting stuff. So, folks, that's what I've got here for y'all. I want to go ahead and wrap things up with Hunter and Leah. Hunter and Leah, as a most practical first step for our audience here, we've shown them the roadmap. We've shown them the tools that give them a clearer roadmap. We've given them where to start thinking about what their GEO even looks like today and how content can map onto that GEO. Where would you recommend our audience start to catch up, really, to get their content strategy to the current meta and to get in line with what these tools are now demanding of our marketing and sales folks here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first thing you do is right away you're hopping into AI visibility dashboard and you're seeing where you're at, right? Going in, seeing where you're at, seeing what's cited, start looking at the prompts. See what questions are we not showing up for that we need to show up, and adding in prompts that you think would be helpful to see, what is the response we're getting here. Now we're going into the recommended tab and we're doing what Leah and I were talking about earlier, is finding out the high priority things that we need to create right now, hopping in, sending out requests, and leaning on the MarketScale team to help them get it done and get those people activated. And then we start building out that huge channel on our website, on our LinkedIn, on our YouTube, making sure we're filling all of our channels with good, real, authentic content, not just, fluff that we think is good, but using the data from the dashboard to actually post what, these LLMs need to actually index what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in with, from a marketing perspective, I think Studio has really rounded out the platform in an end-to-end fashion for marketers. So as long as you understand what your campaign is, what your strategy focus is, then you're going to come into the AI visibility tool, take a look at all of this great information and look in your recommendations for the content that you need to create that aligns with that strategy. From there, I'm going into the platform. I'm probably going to have a conversation with somebody, because I find that really helps people get talking about their topic, right? So whatever that subject matter expert is, get them in a conversation room and let's just have a discussion, just like you and I are right now. We'll just have a fun discussion. And then our team at MarketScale, man, our editors are fantastic in taking that and turning it into so much content. I'm starting with my long form content. I'm publishing that out on YouTube. And then I'm also using the MarketScale Studio tool to create blogs, to create articles, to create learning management articles, to create social media posts. It's all right there in the tool, right there for me. I don't need to go to 5 different things. And then I'm just putting that information out on my channels. So really, an end-to-end platform, start to finish, from strategy all the way to execution. It's just an unbelievable tool that's going to replace so much for marketers now.
It's exciting stuff. It's exciting stuff for sure. Folks, that's what we've got for you here today. Before we wrap, any questions in the audience here? Now's your time. You've got like 10 to 15 seconds to cook up a quick question before we start to wrap things up. But anything you've seen here that you're unsure of, that you want some further guidance on, you want clarity on, could be tool related, could be strategy related, let us know. The chat is open. Don't be shy. In the meantime, as we're signing off here, folks, make sure that you're heading to our website, marketscale.com, for more workshops. Sign up for next week's. Next week's, we're talking about how to turn your trade show into a user-generated content bonanza. The week after that, we're doing a breakdown of edit requests in our platform. How to give better edit requests to make all that content you capture at the trade show punchier. Learn how to spark a constructive dialogue with an editor, right? That's what the next week's on. From there, more GEO breakdowns, more practical how-tos from an industry perspective or from a tool perspective. Everything you need to master UGC, to master GEO, to master content. Boom. All right, we'll wrap with this quick question from Jason here. SEO has always been a long game with the needle moving very slowly. Is GEO different and quicker moving in terms of being able to make changes and impact your authority? I would say that you will likely see more immediacy from a GEO strategy versus an SEO one. SEO one definitely takes way longer to pay off. However, I wouldn't expect that just by crushing a few extra pieces of content that you are going to suddenly skyrocket in visibility. It will take some consistency in your UGC approach. So this is why it's so important as everyone here approaches their user-generated content strategies that you're not just looking to get a quick win. UGC is all about consistency anyways. So you want to build cadence. You want to build a channel for your user-generated content. Hint, hint, go watch last week's workshop. That helps build more authority around the content you're producing, that brands it and packages it in an authoritative way, that makes a space to build the habit of content creation for you and your people. That's important. We can't have one piece of authoritative content on a Monday and then not have another drop from the engineering team for 3 months. That's not really going to help boost you in LLM searches. So similar to SEO, yes, you're going to need the time to let the strategy pay off, but it's not quite as a Herculean effort as SEO is because LLMs are refreshing their database constantly, are looking for timely sources constantly, right? So their pool that they're working with is growing. So you want to be adding to that pool. And the more consistently you add to that pool, the higher you will rank or really be mentioned and cited. Boom. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. We've kept you for a full hour. We appreciate your insights here. Let's sign off here. Hunter, thank you for joining us again. Hunter is our Director of Community at MarketScale. Hunter, where can folks learn or find more about you?
Yeah, feel free to set up a time with me. I'd love to chat through some of the things that we're seeing when it comes to the sales side of things for GEO, as well as how sales leaders should be using the platform and how they should be focusing on content. So my email is hunter.lopatin@marketscale.com. You can see it on the screen here, as well as you can always give me a call. It's 214-295-2386.
And for Leah, we'll add you in here real quick. Oops, I took you off. There we go. Where can folks find you and learn a little bit more about some of your strategies, Leah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free. I'd love to connect on LinkedIn and talk about some strategies. Of course, I'm here at MarketScale as well, leah.johnson@marketscale.com. So would love to talk to you about marketing strategy and how you incorporate that into your studio platform.
Beautiful. And I just dropped those emails here in the chat as well. All right, folks, this has been great. Thank you to our two panelists. Thank you to our audience for tapping in. This is not the last you'll hear of generative engine optimization strategies from us. More to come. Signing off for now. Thank you again to Hunter. Thank you again to Leah. I'm Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. We'll catch you on the next episode of UGC Workshop Live. Don't miss it. A lot of great insights coming your way to level up your UGC strategies. And if you got any suggestions for what you want to see here, some breakdowns, maybe something you want to offer on the next workshop, shoot me a ping. Daniel.litwin@marketscale.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I've got you. All right, folks. Signing off, voice of B2B. We'll catch you on the next episode of UGC Workshop Live. Cue the outro. Peace.